Welcome back to Changing with the Tides, guys. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about fortitude and how to overcome your fears and take on courage and things like that. So stay tuned.
It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day.
Today, we're going to start off by reading a Bible verse from Deuteronomy, and it a lot coincides with fortitude and the gift of the Holy Spirit that teaches us courage and tells us it's okay to take risks and do things that we wouldn't normally do. So, like I said, the verse comes from Deuteronomy, and it's chapter 31, verse 6. And it goes, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you." What does that mean? That means even in the toughest times in our lives, when we're struggling the most, God is always with us and there to protect us. So, even if we just need to get up the courage to get a shower or go for a walk and do something outdoors that day because it's sunny and it's nice out, God is always with us in our corner, cheering us on and teaching us, telling us that it's okay to take a chill day, but it's okay to also know that you need to take a risk and do what's best for your mind and your body. So, next up, I'm going to read you the definition. What is fortitude? Fortitude is having the courage to overcome our fears and taking risks when we can because it's for our own well-being. Without fortitude and being able to take risks and that willingness to take a risk, I wouldn't have found some of my best friends from Camp Footprint. I wouldn't have ever discovered the adaptive ski program and skiing, which, by the way, has easily become one of my favorite hobbies. I know I haven't done it in a while because I've been dealing with a broken arm, but still, it's still one of my favorite things. I am always just going back and looking at my video or the videos that people have sent me that they took of me skiing, and honestly, it's such an exhilarating feeling flying down that mountain. I know I've talked about it before, but there's nothing beats it. And if you can find that one thing that gets you going every day and makes you excited and pumped for the day, then you need to take full advantage of doing it because that feeling is such an amazing and just uplifting, and it makes you want to get up every day and do something. So, therefore, you should keep doing whatever it is you're doing that you love, or find something that you love doing, because it'll definitely it'll definitely work out in the long run. So, moving on. Now I'm going to read you a story that I found recently, and it's kind of a sad one, but it teaches us that it's the meaning and the importance of taking a risk. The main character's name is Benny. At the age of 19, life as Benny knew it had suddenly ended. The Germans invaded his hometown in 1941. He remembers one incident in particular when the rabbi of his shul walked outside to the street with a talus over his head, carrying the Torah. A German soldier went over to the rabbi and began cutting his beard, at which point Benny ran over and begged the soldier to cut Benny's ear or tongue instead. The soldier then hit the rabbi's face with his pistol. Benny and his family, along with everyone from his hometown, were forced onto crowded trains, with the destination being unknown. They arrived in Auschwitz, where Benny was immediately separated from his family. He later learned that his parents and little sister were killed in the gas chambers in the year 1942. Now, this story has a lot going on, and it's very kind of sad because Benny, in the end, Benny lost his parents, but without that happening and Benny taking that risk, Benny would have never, the person that wrote this story, or where I found it from, the person that was telling it was his great-granddaughter. Now, obviously, Benny lived on to live a great life and had a family. So, my point is, without Benny taking that risk and getting on that train, he never would have lived another day. And that's really sad. So that just goes to show that taking risks is okay. Now moving on, we're going to talk about this book that I discovered recently, and I just started it within the past couple weeks, so I'm clearly not done it. But it's called Shifting into High Gear, and the author's name is Kyle Bryant, and the book looks like this. So, there we go. Can you see it? It's so far, I think I'm only not even halfway through, and it's just an uplifting read. But the reason I wanted to talk about it was because a while ago, maybe the end of September, I sat in on a webinar by they're called Mito Action. It's basically just they offer support and help to people who have different forms of mitochondrial diseases. And during Mitochondrial Disease Awareness Week, like I was saying back in September, they did a webinar with this author, Kyle Bryant. And in the webinar, he was talking about two main things, I should say. One of them was his book, Shifting into High Gear, and the other one was his podcast. Now, if you are a podcast person and love listening to them, I really recommend them because they're kind of the reason I got into podcasts. And I know the name of the podcast is Two Disabled Dudes. And they're so funny. So if you need an uplifting podcast to listen to, I recommend it. But back to the book I wanted to talk about. Shifting into High Gear was written or kind of a memoir about when Kyle was diagnosed with his form of mitochondrial disease, which is called, I believe it is Friedreich's ataxia. And he was diagnosed with it when he was 17 or 18. It really threw him for a loop. He thought he had his life together, and he had symptoms popping up here and there, but he just never really thought twice about having a disease, something wrong with him. So he was frustrated and very upset about it in the beginning. But then after he came to the realization that he could just be upset about it or he could do something with his life, he decided to do something with his life. And this book really excites me because I just found out about my mito a couple years ago, but even before that, I kind of was with that same mindset that if you don't do something with your life, you're going to be sad all the time and just upset about your life. So, he discovered, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, they're tricycles. Actually, they are tricycles. I forget the actual name of them. But they're basically tricycles, and you're sitting almost on the ground, and your feet are out in front of you. And he discovered this type of tricycle, and it made it possible and easier for him to be able to go for long distance bike rides and do things he didn't really think he could before. So he discovered this, and he took that, and now mind you, he lives in, I believe, let's see. I'm pretty sure he's from Sacramento, California. I can't find it, but he's from outside of San Francisco, a couple hours, which is obviously Northern California. And he discovers this type of trike and decides he wants to go to the Friedreich's Ataxia Symposium or some kind of event that's being hosted by the Friedreich's Ataxia Foundation or something in Tennessee. And he wants to ride his bike across the country. Now, that seems daunting to me. And like I said before, I've done a few things. I've gone skiing, which mind you, people say to me all the time how they don't know how I do that because they're afraid to go skiing. And I've done a lot of different really cool things in my life, but to bike across the country, not sure I'd be willing to do that. But listen, it really made him excited and gave him something to focus his energy on. So great for him, and he was doing him. Perfect. We love that here. But he was selling it to his parents, and his mom was obviously not thrilled. I mean, she obviously couldn't say no, but she was really nervous about it. So in the end, his dad wound up riding his bike with him. But the training and the things he had to go through first to get to that point to ride across the country was just wow. He would go from 1 week he was riding 7 to 14 miles a day, and then he went to like riding 40 and 50 miles the next month. Like, that just seems so scary to me. But you know, he's doing him. So like we said, we love that here. It's great. But this book, I will let you know how it is in the end. But it is just like wow. People like that who take risks really just inspire me and like make me want to take more risks. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. I had a lot of fun talking to you and kind of just explaining how taking risks can be fun and not as scary as people think it can be. So I'm gonna go try and go for a walk now because it's still daylight out, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys. Mwah.
It's my lucky day.